you guys. How are you all? Thank you guys for being here. It feels like forever since I've been live. I just haven't been live the last couple of days because we had a lot of company and stuff. You see the bedroom behind me still it's picked up, but kind of stuff everywhere. Thank you guys for being here. How are you all? Hey, Amy. Hey, Carol freaking Claus. Hey, Deb, Stacy, Leo. Thank you for being here. Hey, Connie, Tony. Holy cow, you guys. Hey, Cool Gamer. Hey, Lily. Hey, Mark. Mark says, I haven't paid much attention to this case, but he is saying I didn't kill her when they haven't even found her yet. They haven't found her, but he's been charged, and his ex-wife did a confession. We are going to start with part of her affidavit. We're going to listen to the court hearing today. I cannot believe that he spoke. I can't believe his tone, what he said. I cannot wait to show you guys. But before that, I thought that I wanted to refresh on what happened previously to this to remind you guys exactly what Kayla Montgomery had to say about what Adam did and how much Adam cared about Harmony or loved Harmony, because he claims today he loves her with all of his heart. So, hey, cutie pie. Hey, mama's baby. Hey, Jessica Rutledge. Good to see you. Hey, Stephanie. Thank you guys for being here. Hey, Struggle is Real. I'm happy to see you guys. Hey, headphones. Oh, I missed you. I heard you miss me. I'm back. I brought my pencil. You know I did. And thank you for being here. Hey, Corey. Deb, yeah, you are. I was cussing him out yeah, you are. A little bit. Just because it's like the nerve of you. Me too, cutie pie, Floor. He basically said he doesn't want to be judged. I want you to see it, but I'll give you a little recap. He doesn't want to be judged on, he doesn't want that to be in the minds of people of the judge when she sentences him, and he loves Harmony with all of his heart and some things like that. So hold on just a second. Hey, Amelia, good to see you. Hey, Butterfly Kisses. Hey, Emily. Well, I'm glad you're here now. Hey, K-Braze. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull up the affidavit for a moment. Just because I want to remind you guys exactly what was said. Let me go to it. It's on page 7 of this 13 of the page numbers, I believe. So just a second. Kayla's first proffer interview. Okay, so keep all of this in mind, please, while we watch what happened today. Because no, this was not about Harmony, but he made it about Harmony to an extent. And yeah, I'm shocked with the amount of time that he got. We're going to talk about all of that. Hey, Luana, he's a definite loser, Corey. Okay, so during the proffer interview, Kayla admitted, because Kayla had been asked about Harmony many times by this point. She had several interviews at grand jury, interview with the grand jury, things like that. And she lied. So during her proffer interview, she admitted she lied during her grand jury testimony. She stated that she had information related to Harmony Montgomery. Kayla stated that the family, herself, Adam, Harmony, and then the 2 kids of her and Adam's, were evicted from where they were living on Guilford Street in Manchester the day before Thanksgiving. They were living in their vehicle, which was a Chrysler Sebring. Kayla stated that from Thanksgiving until the beginning of December, the friend there had seen Harmony and saw them together. So on December 7th, 2019, prior to their vehicle breaking down, let me restart here. Kayla stated on the day the Chrysler Sebring broke down, Adam Montgomery struck Harmony, which caused her death. Kayla stated that while living in the vehicle, Adam was extremely upset that that 5-year-old Harmony was not saying when she needed to go potty and was having accidents in the car. Kayla stated that after each accident, Adam would get upset and would strike Harmony in the face or head with a closed fist. Kayla stated on December 7th, prior to their vehicle breaking down, Adam struck Harmony in the face or head on 3 separate occasions because she had an accident. This happened while Adam was driving the vehicle. Kayla described that Harmony was in the rear seat on the passenger side, and while Adam was driving, he turned his body and delivered sets of 3 to 4 blows with a closed fist to Harmony's face or head on 3 separate occasions over the course of a few minutes. Kayla stated that after the final blow, Adam said words to the effect of that he felt something or heard something when he hit Harmony and, quote, I think I really hurt her this time. I think I did something, unquote. Harmony began making a moaning type noise, which went on for roughly 5 minutes and then stopped. At no time did anyone stop or get Harmony medical attention as the result of this assault. Kayla said this happened in the morning while the family was on their way to Burger King. They came back and no one checked on Harmony. Kayla couldn't for approximately 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, Adam discovered Harmony was not breathing and was deceased. Kayla stated that Adam went to the trunk of the vehicle, removed clothing, and put her in out of an Under Armour bag and put her in it. At no point did either of them have any conversation about getting any life-saving measures for Harmony. Adam simply put her dead body into a bag and walked it back to the parking lot. He would keep it in the car or out on the snow to keep her from decomposition. Okay, and then just before we continue a little further, I want to add this because this is important. Remember this while we watch him today get all upset and mad that he loved Harmony so much and would never hurt her, okay? Movements of Harmony's body. Kayla explained Harmony was moved to various locations. By the way, you guys, I can't see your comments right now, but anything that I miss, I promise I will come back to it. I don't like missing comments, but when we're reading documents like this, I'm on another screen, so I can't see anything that you guys are seeing. So, movements of Harmony's body. Okay, so on June 3rd, Kayla explained how Harmony's body was moved to various locations. She stated after living in that dude's Audi, because they lived in a friend's Audi for a ride, they went to live with her mother. Harmony was placed in a red cooler and left in the damn hallway of Mom's house for weeks, okay? Then Harmony there's the cooler. Remember this, as we listen to him today. Then Harmony's little body was up in the ceiling of the shelter that they lived in on 177 Lake Avenue, the FIT shelter. Where they found her body and evidence of her decomposition. But we're not done yet because this is not all that these freaking monsters did. Because this is important. I want to go back and remember all of this as we watch what happened today. If you guys are just coming in, that's what we're doing. And trigger warning, because this is one of the worst things I've ever read in my life. Was in the closet. There was a smell. People had been called to check, that kind of thing. Then it was moved into, okay. Kayla stated that at some point after Harmony's body was in the refrigerator, because after it was in the, it was in the refrigerator too. Don't let me forget that. Adam transferred Harmony's body from the Under Armour duffel bag into a new bag. Kayla stated this happened in the bathroom. Again, trigger warning. I don't really like to give those, but this is quite graphic. Kayla stated that on the day in question, Adam spent 4 to 6 hours inside of the bathroom at 644 Union Street with the shower running. Kayla then described Adam as placing Harmony's dead body inside of what she described as a Catholic Medical Center maternity bag. This bag was much smaller than the Under Armour duffel bag and would not likely fit Harmony's body unless it was dismembered or grossly distorted. Kayla described an odor coming from the bathroom and saw steam coming from the bathroom when he would open the door. She recalled the scent of cleaning supplies in the bathroom when Adam had finished up. Kayla stated afterwards, Adam placed the CMC maternity bag inside of the freezer. She described the refrigerator freezer as a combo, refrigerator freezer combo. There is the bag that it was in. In her second proffer interview, she said that he did it at a different place at the shelter She said it happened about a day or two after maintenance checked the vent in their unit. So there was some, she can't be honest to save her own damn life. And then Harmony's body went in a stroller with Kayla and her two boys down to Adam's work at Portland Pie Company. And remember, there is also a part. Oh, well, here we go. Kayla stated that Adam took Harmony out of the maternity bag so he could add lime to the bag to help with decomposition of her body. Kayla explained that Adam dumped Harmony's body out of the CMC maternity bag into the shower. Kayla said Harmony wasn't bones. She had skin, teeth, and hair, and Kayla could still tell it was her. Kayla said Adam put about half the bag of lime or a little more into the maternity bag, and she showed with her hands that the bag of lime was consistent with the 40-pound bag. Based on her description of this process, Adam had a difficult time fitting Harmony's body back into the bag. Her body was frozen. Kayla saw Adam run the hot water in the shower and tried, quote unquote, squishing Harmony's flesh to thaw it and make it easier for her to fit into the bag. Kayla helped cut Harmony's clothes off of her body to fit into the bag as well. Kayla described Adam eventually pushing on Harmony's body, and then she heard a bang. She was not able to elaborate on what the bang was. And then he banged on the bag and then zipped it up. So just wanted to refresh your guys' memory of how horrific this was. Absolutely horrific. Okay, I'm back in the comments. Let me check on you guys. I'm going to scroll back a little bit. Hey, Shay. Good to see you. He is one sick-ass Luana. He's disgusting. Oh, Carol, thank you. Thank you, Carol freaking Claus. Hey, beautiful Nadie. That's all right. We're just getting started. Actually, we just refreshed on what we know so far before what happened today, because Adam was sentenced today and he did comment on Harmony, and I want to watch that with you guys. Hey, Roxanne. Hey, Magenta Trauma. Hey, you guys coming in. Oh, no headphones. I'm sorry. I hope you're feeling better now. Thank you so much, Carol Claus, for the gifted memberships. That's very sweet. I know, Mark Fried, they're disgusting. They are absolutely disgusting. Wicked West Paranormal, hey, girl, by the way, and I agree. And the thing that just pisses me off is I believe Kayla should be charged. She described squishing her body in the bag, cutting her clothes off, how it still looked like Harmony. Screw her. Hey, Mama's baby. Hey, Melinda. It's your whole birthday month, Leo. Hey, Sue Ann. Dying to hear this loser. Well, we're about to watch it now. It's like okay, so I think maybe we'll just watch it all. It's like a 30-minute clip, and then like the judge sentences him in like a 10-minute clip. But in the 30-minute one, his attorney talks, the state talks. They also say they're looking forward to the upcoming trial. So it is disgusting. Hey, Lindsay. I hate them. I hate these people too. They piss me off. Hey, Jen Joya. Hey, Crumb Curious. Dang, time difference. That's all right. You guys are just barely late. Did you catch how the state snapped back? Yes, Cutie Pie. I love that. You haven't seen it yet, Lip Lock? Okay. Well, awesome. Oh no, Mountain Mama. I hope everything's okay. I saw there was a huge storm going through kind of West Virginia, North Carolina, Virginia. Hey, Crafty Chris. Hey, Past. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull up the hearing since we're done with that. But I think that it's so important to keep in mind what these monsters did, because he's only charged with second-degree murder, and she ain't charged at all in Harmony's death. So to me, that ain't right at all. So, okay.
Mr. Montgomery, you're here for sentencing today. I'm going to hear from the state first, and then I'll hear from you and your counsel.
Stay safe.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the state does not intend to be very long with its statements. Obviously, the sentencing memorandum, we think, fairly surmises the reasons for the state's recommendation.
Oh, Sue-Ann, I hope he's okay.
As you've seen, the state is recommending essentially 15 to 30 years staying committed on both of the armed career criminal charges. That's charge numbers 2008 742 and 743. And separate from that, concurrent with one another, but of course consecutive to the armed career criminal charges, we're seeking 7.5 to 15 years stand committed for the theft by unauthorized takings charges there as well. Those docket numbers, for the record, being 1964098C and 99C. Given the fact that the receiving stolen properties and the theft by unauthorized takings in this operate almost as alternative charges, we have already spoken with defense counsel, and we are in agreement that the receiving stolen properties should be essentially a guilty finding and held in abeyance. So no separate sentencing forms have been done by either party because of that. The sentence should be on the theft by unauthorized takings.
On that, is it your position that those get vacated after the conclusion of the appeal period?
I believe, Your Honor, that we would say that they should be held as guilty findings, but I would not agree that they are vacated after the appeal period, because in the very unlikely event that there may be a habeas matter down the road, you would have two convictions that could never be brought back, which would basically be undoing the argument of the habeas corpus. So we would have them be held as guilty things, again, with sentences just simply held. They basically exist, but with no separate sentence for the defendant.
Okay. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I believe lesser included, that would be the appropriate procedure, but these are alternatives.
So you do agree?
I do agree
Okay.
with the state.
All right, thank you. One other question about your proposed sentence. Your memorandum indicates that you are seeking a restitution hearing at some point, but I didn't see anything about that on the proposed sentencing sheets.
Yes, Your Honor, and I apologize.
Hi,
That is
Lucia.
a box that we should have essentially checked off on both of the theft by unauthorized taking charges. It was our understanding, we thought that we had a statement from the insurance company that paid Christopher Frayne his insurance payment for the two guns that have been stolen.
So this is really them just arguing over the questions. Let me see if I can go about right here.
Defense has no objection to that.
I think the matter of
So here's Harmony's mom right here in the pink.
restitution should have been presented today if there is an issue, or in advance of today, so that we could.
They do, Sue-Ann, they definitely do.
But no legal basis for an objection.
Correct.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. With that being said, Your Honor, I'm not going to go through every single thing that's written down there. I think you can see that the state looked at it from a different perspective, not a different perspective, but the same perspective the court uses on every case, the proper balance of punishment, deterrence, rehabilitation, and restitution that's needed for this defendant for the offenses that have gone forward. The defendant has chosen not to submit a sentence memorandum, which is perfectly his right, but from the sentencing sheets, we can see that he's asking for a minimum sentence, the minimum that's allowed under the law on the two armed career criminal charges, and for no additional sentence to be done with theft by unauthorized taking. And that is where we disagree.
He's asking for the minimum, and he's had a long history of bad behavior.
For a person that has the minimum qualifying offenses and is then convicted of armed
Sophie.
career criminal, that 10 to 20
I didn't
would be
say
the
hi, I
appropriate
meant to.
number. But that's not this defendant. And for the person who has maybe not had deterrence or rehabilitation or probation or parole as part of their previous sentences, so they never had that opportunity to truly seek some sort of rehabilitation, then maybe the 10 to 20 year sentence would be appropriate. But again, that's not this defendant. After trial, the defendant was found guilty of the armed career criminal on two guns and on the theft by unauthorized taking, the receiving stolen property within this window
Okay,
of
Lip
7
Lock,
days
have
or
good
several days,
supper.
in 2019. What are the two guns? They're the assault rifle and the shotgun. As he termed, and as we heard it from the witness stand here, the big boys, that he referred to them, knowing that he could turn around and sell them to other convicted felons for money or for drugs, which he did. And having that rifle then show up in the hands of what we know now is a federally convicted drug trafficker. That's why part of the reason why armed career criminal, the minimum sentence of 10 to 20, the minimum sentence should not apply for this defendant.
Hey, Delane.
That behavior alone should not result in that, especially with the defendant here, who, as you've seen, has been convicted 16 years ago of pointing a knife at a 15-year-old girl, of 15 years ago during an armed home invasion, holding the neck to a victim, demanding money, and then pointing that gun at the chest of a police officer who responded, who was able to knock the gun out of his hand and wrestle him to the ground.
So I did not know that he was in trouble previously for holding a knife to a girl. Maybe because that's in his juvenile record. I just hadn't seen that before.
And as you saw on those two matters, Your Honor, the one from 2008 involving a 15-year-old girl, he then, what did he have? A violation of probation. And for after this armed career criminal, where he held the gun to a woman's
Hey,
neck
spread
inside
love,
her
not
home in front of
hate.
her child, and then pointed the gun at the officer. What happened afterwards? 2 separate violations of parole and probation, and 3 defaults for failing to show up to court. The minimum sentence is not appropriate when you have the defendant who then, after this, stabs another man with a knife 15 years ago. And then 8 years ago, does another armed robbery with a conviction of armed assault to murder for
Wow. I mean, listen to his history. And he looks angry. Let me know if y'all feel that way, but he just looks angry.
shooting a man in the face. That's just 5 years before the activity that's in front of you here today.
Can I ask you about that, Attorney Agati?
Wait,
yes.
so he pulled a knife on a 15-year-old girl. He did a home invasion and held a gun to somebody's head or neck and then pointed it at a police officer's chest. He had the other shooting. What was the other thing? There was one more. That's
And maybe I missed it. I did not see what his sentence was in that case.
From the reading of the sentence, Your Honor, and that I believe it's all
He
contained
does,
within
Leo.
Exhibit 3. For that particular sentence, I believe on each of the charges that went forward, the armed robbery charge, the
exactly.
armed and assault to murder charge, the firearm carry without a license charge, and the discharging of firearm within 500 feet of the building. That, I apologize, the last one, the discharging is just a guilty file. On the other 3, he received 18 months stand committed in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
You know what, Wicked West, that is what burns me up the most with that history, because previously I knew about shooting somebody like they didn't pass away, but and one other thing, there was like a couple things that we knew about. I didn't know it was even this extensive, and I was already pissed that he got Harmony. He barely even knew Harmony when he got her. He wasn't like a fixture in her life or anything. He got to know her through the process of getting her to bring her home, and probably for extra money on the damn food stamp card. I don't know. But we saw that they continued to collect food stamps in her name even after she passed away. Ooh, it makes me angry. Disgusting.
If the defendant were here and we were in a federal setting, then he would be eligible potentially for a third strike.
Butterfly Angel.
Life without parole. Life with or without parole. The state is not seeking that here. It's not saying that he should be getting the maximum sentence on the armed career criminals, but certainly is saying that he should not get the minimum sentence. With regards to one other aspect of that, Your Honor, on the thefts, the defendant's proposal that the theft should just be guilty findings.
It would.
I don't feel that that's
100%.
appropriate, given that you have 2 guns
Kate.
here. This is not a situation
Good to
where
see
you have a
you.
stolen wallet and the defendant's walking down the street, and when he's arrested for having stolen a wallet, he happens to be having a gun on him. Maybe in that situation, the state could agree, depending on history and depending on behavior, that a minimum sentence was appropriate, and that you could easily see that the wallet charge might be just a guilty finding because there's this armed career criminal charge. The defendant's not walking down the street here with a stolen weapon from somewhere else and having stolen a wallet. It's stealing 2 guns
100%.
from inside a dwelling place, inside a home where a woman and her child were sleeping. And then what did he do with the guns afterwards? We heard he advertised, he marketed, he negotiated, he bartered, he displayed, he test fired, he sold these 2 guns. And as we heard from one witness, actually bought the gun back later on and sold it anew. Both of those guns now going out into the community.
Caffeinated cat lady. I know. It had me mad too. I was definitely cussing and yelling.
It's not just a
Like,
simple
are you
possession.
serious?
It's not just a simple
The
theft
nerve of this
that's
dude.
there. It's a theft, and in that theft, it's a theft of 2 more firearms. That which he knows he cannot take, that which he turns around in such short time, markets to sell to other convicted
Wow,
felons.
Tony. I am so
It's not
sorry.
the right defendant to be doing a guilty finding on that, not with his pattern of history, not with the offenses that are here. With regards to, I guess, 2 other aspects that I want to just briefly address for you. With regards to victim impact, we have reached out to Christopher Frayne and asked whether he wanted to have any impact and provide his statements to the court. He asserted to us that he did not want to have anything to do with any matter moving forward. He did not want to provide a statement to the court. I don't know what his motivation was, what his concerns or worries are, but he made that very clear to the state that he did not wish to present anything to you. With regards to the standpoint of the Manchester Police Department,
We're
you can see
just
several
about
members have been here
to,
today.
yeah.
Obviously, there are other investigations that are going on. We feel, and they feel, that this sentence is appropriate for the charges that are before you today, not for the other 2 guns that we will have hearings on later on, not for Harmony, who's missing, who we will have a trial later on this year. the appropriate sentence for today. Gun
So they bring up Harmony here. They bring up her trial later this year, and also two more gun issues with guns, or two other guns that he's got charges over. I mean,
in the community has been a problem. It always has been throughout history. Guns in the community has been a problem. And here, the defendant, after all of his convictions, has knowingly continued to be a part of that dealing of firearms in the community.
hey, Angie.
And so again, the reason why the Manchester Police Department does not feel that the minimum sentence is the appropriate sentence here. And they would agree with the position of that what the state has proposed to you. Something else has to be done. For a different defendant, for different offenses, we can understand why a minimum sentence might be right.
Not for
I don't
this
believe
dude.
that's what the legislature intended. For other people, like the wallet scenario I gave you a moment ago, then certainly might fit what the legislature was looking at to say that we have to have this minimum time period with no suspension, no deferrals, has to be served. This defendant is not the minimum defendant. Those are basically the reasons for the state's proposal. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
I don't have any this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
He looks at his attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Don't he look angry?
Obviously, we disagree with the state, and one of the biggest disagreements.
He looks so angry. But before we continue, just a little side note. Later this evening at 8:15, so we're going to do this, and I have to run out and get Trenton from football and do a couple of things. And then at 8:15, we're going to come back and do another live. Teresa from Criminality is going to join, and we're going to discuss Chad Doerman. There have been new body cams released of him before court crying and all the things, and it's gonna I can't those are gonna piss you guys off as well, because I was watching them before I started the live, and yeah, he wasn't really cooperating. He was sobbing, crying. He was literally hysterically crying to the point where he couldn't even hear her to listen for a moment. So I think that will be interesting, and I hope you guys will join. But yeah, it will also piss us all off. Now, we're going to hear from Adam's attorney.
The state's proposal. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
I don't have any this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Obviously, we disagree with the state, and one of the biggest disagreements is that because of his background, he's not appropriate for the minimum sentence here. Quite frankly, I think armed career criminal and the sentence is a factor that the person who is involved, who is being sentenced, has priors of violence, has been incarcerated before, has had opportunities before. And they have been arrested, tried, and convicted for, again, having a gun. And often that goes hand in hand with a new charge, as it did here. So the minimum mandatory of 10 to 20, is not for people who haven't done very much. It's not for people that don't have a history. It is for people that are charged with armed career criminal because they have prior crimes of violence in their past.
Hey, Meemaw, so good to see you, Midwest Meemaw. No, I saw that. I didn't follow her case as closely. I can look into it. I'm interested in it, but I haven't talked about it, and I don't know much about it either. She does sound like Sally Jesse. Lindsay, that's funny. Oh my God. I forgot about that show. And then Robin, I agree. His tears were for himself. And lip locked. I don't care for her either. And I don't know. I'm very much looking forward to the trial though. And I'm also looking forward to y'all hearing Adam at the end. He speaks after his attorney here, so.
Because they have been given opportunities, because this is a repeat offense. So that is the starting point for someone like Adam Montgomery in a vacuum. And I'll address the vacuum later. But the starting point where Mr. Montgomery should be thought about in sentencing is 2 decades of his life, because also with regard to theft and armed career criminal, generally in a theft, if somebody goes into a home and takes a bunch of things, it's one charge of theft. But guns are different. So that if somebody goes into a home and takes more than one gun, they can be charged for each gun and sentenced for each gun. Similarly with armed career criminal. The act is the exact same, but because there's more than one gun here, the minimum sentence is increased by the same mandatory minimum consecutive. That is where Mr. Montgomery should be. And I would suggest that the aggravating factors in any armed career criminal, because we presuppose that this is the person that should be held accountable for this very much higher charge with a higher mandatory minimum than an A felony would normally get. The difference would be the charge or the crime that occurred that gave rise to the armed career criminal. And that, if that was aggravating factors such as shooting the gun, using the gun, causing physical harm to people with the gun, or any other factor, it is the crime that gave rise to the armed career criminal that should give rise to aggravating factors to increase from the minimum. And here, the crime as presented by the state was a crime of opportunity. It did not involve violence, although anyone would say any kind of theft is a level of violence, but we don't have physical harm to anybody. We don't have an assault of somebody. It was a crime of opportunity. Also, the evidence is that Mr. Montgomery was an addict. He was a drug addict. And that the purpose surrounding this crime, the evidence is that it was either for drugs or money to get drugs. That this was
Okay, now let me just take a pause for a moment, because Adam also brings up his addiction and how he can't help that he's an addict. When we are actively using, we do really dumb shit to get our fixes sometimes, and that's that. But you still are responsible for what the fuck you do. Excuse my language, but that pisses me off. I don't care that you were an addict. I don't care that you were fiending, and I don't care that it's a disease, because I do believe it is. You guys know I'm in recovery myself. However, what you do, you are still responsible for. That is bullshit, and I don't like that or appreciate it at all. Pisses me off. That is absolutely disgusting. For all the addicts out here who are trying to live a life and do the right thing and make up for the wrong things that they've done and live honestly and responsibly and be accountable for their actions, that pisses me off.
It was a crime of opportunity based on an addiction and to fuel that addiction. This was not a crime of violence or assault where the purpose of the gun is to cause physical harm to someone else. That the consequences are that the guns fall into somebody else's hands. Certainly that occurred here, and that person can cause violence. But when we are talking about addiction and what's in the mind of the person involved, it was either for money for drugs or for drugs themselves. And that was the purpose behind all that. That is not the type of aggravating factor that should take a sentence of 2 decades. 2 decades, he will be isolated. 2 decades, he will be incarcerated. 2 decades, he will not be entitled to 65120 or suspension of any type of that sentence. He is exactly what the state said, should be isolated from the community. The state brought up some interesting factors, and I believe with regard to Mr. Sargent, who was federally charged, I believe the state at trial mentioned that he got about a 12-year sentence. And you heard at trial that his household was filled with guns and other weapons. Big guns, long guns, pistols, short guns, sawed-off guns, crossbows, knives, and a ton of ammunition. This person was dealing in weaponry. He was also dealing in drugs. There was a boatload of drugs that were also found during the search of his home. That is of a different caliber than a crime of opportunity and then selling what is stolen for drugs or money for drugs. That person is the...
Unfortunately, Robin, I believe that you're 100% right. We know that he was banging her, punching her in the face on a regular occasion. Pretty much. Hell, he admitted to banging her head around the house because she was responsible for watching her little brother and keeping him from crying. Because anybody can, she could keep a baby from crying. A damn grown-up can't keep a baby from crying if they want to cry. But Harmony was responsible for that. And when she wasn't able to do it, became his punching bag.
The person that is on that.
Can you imagine? Look how angry and he looks now in court. And And you'll hear when he speaks, he even has an attitude during parts of it. Can you imagine how angry he is fiending for drugs?
Aggravating scale. Mr. Montgomery is not. He is on the scale of, we assume a bad past, we assume priors, we assume incarceration. This is why we have a mandatory minimum, and because there are 2 guns involved, it's 2 decades, not 1. And I don't think any other sentence comes close to this sort of declaration that your past is why you are facing this right now. As far as the impact on the community, and as the state put in their memorandum, collateral issues, this theft of guns occurred in October of 2019. And the investigation ended in December of 2019, essentially, except for I think there was something in January with Michael Sullivan. This investigation came back because of the mention of Adam Montgomery early on, and then the investigation into Adam Montgomery for other things. The state can do it. It absolutely can do it. But to talk about the effect of the community, I have to remind the court about Ishmael Garcia, the one that is not charged with taking the 3rd gun, where the evidence was equally, if not more, persuasive, right down to the person that bought the gun from Ishmael
God
said
almighty.
that he bought the gun from
How
Ishmael.
can you argue
No
it
steps
that
were
he's not
taken,
a
no punishment was considered for getting that person off the street. This investigation was motivated by collateral reasons. I'm not saying that the
Kaylee.
state cannot do that or that there is a
Exactly.
problem with the conviction.
Thank you very damn much, because somebody needs to say it. You are exactly right. When a child is living in a car and they are regularly abused, having accidents is probably not going to be a rare occurrence, even if they weren't abused and living in a car. Hey, Bieber, good to see you. So good to see you. Hey, Ren. I'll be listening while I do yard work. All right, well, phew. You might be cussing out in the yard here in a minute when Adam.
Because of that. But
It's
that was the motivation for
3
this. And
minutes
then the
so.
state says it should play little role, but it does play a role, these other charges.
Oh,
I'm afraid
Sorry,
that it plays a
Ray.
significant role and that it should not. It plays a significant role to why the state has asked for a high sentence. It played a significant
Alyssa,
role in
that's
this
what I've
investigation,
heard.
and so much of what happened in this
Hey,
case
Amber.
was related to the investigation of Harmony, whether it was leverage on Kayla, leverage on Adam. It plays a major role, and it should not. And if we step back from the other investigations, which we should, they should not be considered here at all, but
She's talking about Harmony.
I believe that they generally are. And I ask that the court step back and look at the purpose of a minimum mandatory and an armed career criminal. It's not a starting point. It is, this is what you get, and under certain circumstances, you'll get more, which I would suggest the certain circumstances would be the crime at issue.
All right, ladies,
The
wrap it up.
circumstances
We're tired of
of
listening to
The
you.
crime for which
Time to hear
is the,
Adam's dumbass. Excuse my
sentence.
language.
In this case,
Deb, she's Sally.
the state talks about rehabilitation and the lack of rehabilitation.
She's about that.
And I could talk about the circumstances of upbringing. I could talk about circumstances of opportunities missed through no fault of his own. And I could talk about efforts at rehabilitation, but again, that doesn't matter. It is a minimum mandatory. We can expect all of that in your life and you will get 10 years. And if you take more than one gun, you will get 20 years. Not that 20 years is, one gun is much different from 2, but that's what the legislature said, 20 years minimum mandatory. And then, as the state says, no sentence for the theft charge.
Not sure you're
Because
helping.
I have asked
helping
for a
him?
suspended sentence. And what I have done is fashion the 2 suspended sentences so that one would be brought forward during the course of Mr. Montgomery's incarceration to give him the extra incentive, because things happen in prison that people forget the ultimate goal sometimes in the circumstances that they're living in.
Oh, dear
By a
God.
suspended
Sally.
sentence that comes forward or the time period ends during the period of incarceration, it is that reminder. You have goals to reach. Continue towards your goals. Don't give up.
Sorry.
The second one is suspended for a period after
Things that
release
shit,
date
Mom.
on the 20 years to 10-year consecutive sentences. again, once you get out, remember, it is still here, not simply parole, but also as an additional level of incarceration.
Okay,
for this
lady.
crime. So it's not nothing. But given those minimum mandatories of 10 plus 10, I think it is appropriate here.
They're asking for him to get the minimum of both of those, which she's assuming would be 10 plus 10, but the judge does it differently. And we'll see that in a second. But she's also requesting that his other charge, he just gets time served. Just hold him till November is all I care about. And as long as he makes it to that trial, that
Again, taking the one extra gun didn't double the harm, didn't double anything, except that that's the way the legislature put it, because we are
hopefully
not
he
having
never walks
discretion.
out of that damn
10
jail.
years, we're not looking at anything else, but you have taken guns, you are in possession of guns when you
All
have
right, lady,
decent
we're
supplies,
skipping a little bit.
and they should not be considered, but that is without a doubt of great concern here. I believe Adam would like to address you.
Okay. Oh, I need a deep breath because I could not believe that he addressed anyone, anything at all. Sit down, Sally. I freaking missed you guys. Damn. Sally, shut up. He had no goals or he wouldn't be here. Harmony has a big piece of my heart. And I want justice for her so bad. Me too, Shay. We went over, like in the beginning, just exactly what Kayla admitted to in that horrific affidavit that was recently released a few months ago. So people remember, when you listen to what he's about to say, remember that, hold on. And I'm going to go back to just the first part. We're not going to go through all the horrific gruesomeness of her being squished into the bag and all the things, which pisses me off. But we'll start here. Remember this, police. Just a second, because I want to get to this one part. So she says they were living in a vehicle. And okay, so on December 7th, Adam Montgomery struck Harmony, which caused her death. Kayla stated while living in the vehicle together, Adam was extremely upset that 5-year-old Harmony was not saying when she needed to go to the bathroom and was having accidents in the car. Kayla stated that after each accident, Adam would get upset and would strike Harmony in the face or head with a closed fist. Kayla stated that on December 7th, prior to the vehicle breaking down, Adam struck Harmony in the face or head on 3 separate occasions because she had an accident. Adam was driving. Kayla described that Harmony was in the rear seat on the passenger side, and while Adam was driving, he turned his body and delivered sets of 3 to 4 blows with a closed fist to Harmony's face or head on 3 separate occasions over the course of a few minutes. Kayla stated after the final blow, Adam said words to the effect of, he felt something or heard something when he hit Harmony, and quote, I think I really hurt her this time. I think I did something, unquote. This time being the key words there. Harmony began making a moaning type noise, which went on for roughly 5 minutes and then stopped. At no time did anyone stop or get Harmony medical attention. They went to damn Burger King. And when they returned, after about 20 minutes of sitting in the parking lot, no one checked on Harmony. No one talked about getting life-saving treatment for Harmony. Remember that when you hear this fucking monster, because he pisses me off.
So I understand that I was found guilty.
Wait, I gotta turn it down because I had it sped up a little bit. Okay. And let me check on you guys for just a second so I don't miss anything important. Hey, Elsie, love you too. And I hope you had a good day at work. Take a deep breath. I feel the same, Leo says. The nerve. I know. He has a pyramid tat. I haven't got a good look at his tattoos, all of them. Hey, Johnny. Reading the affidavit had me in tears. It was horrible. That's one of the worst ones. Yeah, Well, Kate says that affidavit was just so sad and hard to even read. Adam is sick. I'm just glad they at least have a witness who was there and saw most of it. I am too, even though I think she should be in trouble too. She was 5. I know, Deb. I think that other guy may know where Harmony is, but won't admit it. I agree. At least parts of her or something. According to Kayla, though, that makes me nervous. See, Crime Curious, when that affidavit came out, I think that touched you so deeply. It was so obvious to me because that affidavit came out and we were all looking at it. And then after that, you just dove head first. And she has done very detailed timelines. She did an excellent live with Criminality, which you guys would really enjoy if you go check it out, talking about all the details of this, all the people involved. She listed out every person mentioned in the affidavit, just breaks it down so beautifully. You guys should check that out. I know, Kate, I'm wondering if he did too, and that's something that Crime Curious went over, was that bridge. She showed video footage of it and stuff. It was kind of interesting. Hey, MK. I don't think she got immunity, but I don't know for sure. The proffer is that is not her getting a deal or immunity or anything. So I don't know. I hope she can be charged too. Okay. Just checking to make sure I don't miss anything. Oh, Alyssa, thank you. That's really sweet. And I'm glad you're here. When he rented that U-Haul van, he drove across that bridge, then was caught like a minute later going back across the bridge. Why'd do that unless you were tossing stuff out the car or the window? Yeah. I'm wondering if he did too, or maybe he split some of it up or something. Oh, thank you, Deb. I love and appreciate you guys. There were so many proffers. Yeah, with multiple people. Okay, so here we go.
Adam would like to address you.
So I understand that I was found guilty by a jury, and I'm not here to dispute that at all. The only consideration that I ask of you this morning is for you not to consider anything as it relates to the case regarding my daughter Harmony. I did not kill my daughter Harmony, and I look forward to my upcoming trial to refute those offensive claims.
And we will
Probably won't believe me when I tell you that I didn't wake up one morning and choose to become an addict. I don't want to be an addict. And I will spend my time in prison utilizing it to the best of my ability to change things about myself. I could have had a meaningful life, and I blew that opportunity through drugs. But I loved my daughter unconditionally, and I did not kill her. So please don't consider anything that relates to those charges. Only consider the facts to this case.
Now, hold on a minute, because I'm going to rewind, and we're going to take it step by step, because he's so full of shit. That makes me so angry. And yeah, he definitely has a thick accent, Kate. A thick accent. I noticed that during his stupid interviews with Harmony, or over, with the police. Okay, so
Adam would like to address you.
I just want to break it down. Just pause along the way for a moment and rehear it.
So I understand that I was found guilty by a jury, and I'm not here to dispute that at all. The only consideration that I ask of you this morning is for you not to consider anything as it relates to the case regarding my daughter Harmony. I did not kill my daughter Harmony, and I look forward to my upcoming trial to refute those offensive claims.
I did not kill my daughter Harmony, and I look forward to my upcoming trial to refute those offensive claims. Really, Adam? Because I remember when they were looking for Harmony, and you would talk to the police about anything except her. Didn't want to talk about Harmony. Didn't give a shit where she was at. Wasn't worried about her. Had your damn wife collecting benefits in her name. You sick son of a bitch, man. He makes me mad. Excuse me. He's offended. I'm offended. I'm offended. I know, Kaylee, and that pisses me off too. That's why I wanted to pause, because I have a point to make there as well.
Um, Probably won't believe me when I tell you that I didn't wake up one morning and choose to become an addict. I don't want to be an addict. And I will spend my time in prison utilizing it to the best of my ability.
You didn't choose to become an addict, but you chose to get fucking high. Let's be real, because I didn't choose to be an addict either. But I made every choice along the way. I chose to pick up and try drugs. I chose to use. Also, through my addiction, I never beat the shit out of any kids. So bullshit. Don't use that. Man, this makes me mad. Whoa. I'm sorry, but this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. What's offensive is you getting up here and saying this shit. What is offensive is when the police were looking for your daughter, you didn't want to help. What's offensive is that your wife was collecting benefits for a long time for a daughter that you claimed was with her mother. What's offensive is the fact that you weren't in her life until it was time to get custody where you might could get some money out of it. You didn't even know her. What's offensive is that you are using your addiction to justify any of this bullshit. And it doesn't. Excuse me, y'all, but that makes me mad. Drugs don't make you hurt kids or kill people. I know, exactly. That is offensive.
I understand that I was found guilty by a jury, and I'm not here to dispute that at all. The only consideration that I ask of you this morning is for you not to consider anything as it relates to the case regarding my daughter Harmony. I did not kill my daughter Harmony, and I look forward to my upcoming trial to refute those offensive claims. Probably won't believe me when I tell you that I didn't wake up one morning and choose to become an addict. I don't want to be an addict. And I will spend my time in prison utilizing it to the best of my ability to change things about myself. I could have had a meaningful life, and I blew that opportunity through drugs. But I loved my daughter unconditionally, and I did not kill her. So please don't consider anything that relates to those charges. Only consider the facts to this case.
Duh, that's what they do, you know? Oh, God. Take keyboard off and keyboard.
Anything further?
Just very briefly, Your Honor,
Yeah,
the state is also
exactly.
looking forward to that trial coming up this fall, and we agree that you should be doing the
Wait,
sentence based upon the ones that are in
Wait,
front of you.
hold on.
We also,
You guys need to hear this, okay? Because this is what the prosecution responded. I get a mute because somebody started mowing grass next door. I want you guys to hear this. And Abe, substances can affect your behavior, right? Absolutely. We don't choose to be addicts. That is true. But we do choose to use drugs. And I'm in recovery myself, and I hold myself accountable for everything I did during my addiction. It doesn't make a difference. You still choose to do it, and at some point you have to choose to get better. And if you don't, then it's on you, and you are to blame for the bad things you do. That's just the way it is. Now, hear what the state says.
Anything further?
just very briefly, Your Honor, the state is also looking forward to that trial coming up this fall, and we agree that you should be doing the sentence based upon the ones that are in front of you. We also could talk about 16 years of violations of parole and probation. So the idea of a suspended sentence here for the theft by unauthorized taking has absolutely no power whatsoever, because it's just been shown again through 16 years without any meaningful break in his activity that the defendant doesn't follow parole, doesn't follow probation. And while he has something to look forward to, he violates it time and time again. My only other comment, Your Honor, is the concept that the defendants, the difference, as Attorney Smith just stated, that the difference in the crimes that led to the armed career criminal shouldn't matter, but they do matter. The same thing that could be done for an individual that violates a controlled drug law 3 times, let's say 3 possessions of a gram of fentanyl, that person is also facing a possible armed career criminal if they're found with a gun. That individual for the right balance of punishment, deterrence, rehabilitation is not the same as for this individual and the reasons why he qualifies for armed career criminal. That should be taken into account.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm going to take a short recess, maybe 15 minutes. I want to consider the.
Okay, so the lighting, the sun's going down. I don't have my lights out. Midwest Meemaw, I agree. I'm really curious what he's going to say. He looks forward to refuting the offensive claims against him. How's he going to do that? Because Kayla, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, and I'll be watching every step along the way. Abe, I agree with you. If a child parents shot them up with heroin, no, that would not be their choice. But that is absolutely the exception. Most people choose to get high, and then, either you're an addict or you're not. But that's, the exception. But in that instance, sure, that would not be a choice if someone held you down and put drugs in your body. That is different. And that is probably very rare. It is, Corey. It definitely is. Nobody forces someone to use substances. So if you kill someone while under the addiction of them, the substances are not accountable. I agree. Y'all, it makes me mad. Like, y'all should have heard me screaming in the house when I first watched it. He's a criminal and a reoffender. Yep, absolutely. He could point the blame at Kayla. I guess we'll see. I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. How is he? Wait, really, Abe? See, I've met a lot of addicts. I've been to rehab a couple times, and, just from being out on the streets and stuff, and I had not heard of anybody that had, I was yet to meet anybody who had been forced to use. But if that is your story, that's a little different. I think that's the exception. Hey, Aries. Now, I know now with the parents encouraging them, I've seen that. And, it's quite sad. Even when I started, I was 14 years old, and my friend's mom is the first person who ever gave me opiates. And she did it with her daughter too. However, it's not her fault that I was using. I mean, I don't know. Okay, so let's switch over for a second because I want you guys to see the last part, and then I'm going to let you guys go for a little bit, and we're going to come back and talk about Chad Doerman, who will probably also get us all really pissed off like this. So, just to let you know. Okay. Because somebody put it in here, and that's exactly what I said to Teresa in messages, because I asked her if she wanted to come on with me. She's very interested and attached to that case. She's went up to their house in person and things like that. So I thought of her as soon as I saw it, and I was like, look at him crying for himself, crying for himself. So let's face it. Nobody was holding. Oh yeah, he's a big guy. He is. And I also heard that he was giving Harmony's mother some pretty rude looks and stuff, which she's right here in the pink. We see it time and time again. Addiction simply does not hold up as any kind of defense in court. Everyone is sick. See that, Abe? You're right. Everybody's got their issues. My cousin grew up in an environment where she was made an addict, but she wasn't violent towards others. Yeah, at the end of the day, we are still... Did you, Corey? Wow. At the end of the day, we are still responsible for what we do, period. I'm mainly a soda and a water guy. I hear you, Aries. Okay. Here we go.
So, Mr. Montgomery, the state is not requesting that the court consider your other pending charges here. And I understand from your counsel the concern that any sentence imposed today would be taking that into consideration. And I want to tell you, that the court is not. You will have your trial on that. You're being sentenced today on these armed career criminal and theft charges that you've already been found guilty of. But the court notes that there are a significant number of aggravating factors here, making the minimum mandatory sentences that you're requesting inappropriate. First and perhaps foremost, each of the prior felony offenses outlined by the state in their sentencing memorandum involved significantly violent behavior and violent conduct that involved weapons. Your prior conduct over the 15 years may be some of the most violent and egregious that I have seen. It involves a knife to the throat of a 15-year-old.
Your prior conduct to these charges might be the most egregious she has seen. A judge. Oh, I just hope that with this and the second-degree murder charge, that he will not walk out of prison. But let me rewind that like 10 seconds too.
That involved weapons. Your prior conduct over the 15 years may be some of the most violent and egregious that I have seen. It involves a knife to the throat of a 15-year-old, a gun pointed at a woman with a child in the home during a home invasion, a gun pointed at a police officer, and an armed robbery where the victim was shot in the face. You yourself were shot during that incident. Not all predicate offenses for armed robberies are for armed career criminal cases are the same. And these predicate offenses are particularly egregious. This case itself, the stolen firearms in this case also had significant aggravating factors. These guns were stolen. There was a child in the house. The guns were maintained while you yourself had children in the home. There was trading, selling, buying back of guns. The guns were sold to and bought back from a convicted sex offender. And ultimately, one of the guns was discovered in the hands of an individual who is apparently trafficking in both guns and drugs. The brazen nature of your conduct, the bragging. I mean, I listened to these witnesses. You bragged about the guns. You talked about them being hidden in the walls of your home. You talked about concerns about being discovered by the ATF. I mean, this is not a felony where there were 3 predicate offenses involving controlled drug acts. The gun violence has taken a toll on our community, particularly on the young people here.
Sarah, I agree with you. A person doesn't choose how their body or brain reacts to substances. That's why some people can control their use and others can't. However, a person does choose whether to use those substances in the first place, and they continue to choose to use them. And they continue to choose to use them even as their entire life falls apart. Is there another, element to their choices that makes things slightly different than your average person? Sure. However, I still feel, and having made some bad decisions myself when using, I still think you're responsible. If not you, who the hell else is? And I'm sorry, but when you affect other people's lives, you damage people's stuff, you take someone's life, at the end of the day, you need to be held responsible, whether you were sober, on drugs, or not. That's just the way I see it. But I agree with you. That is why some people can drink, every day and just stop and they have no issues, or some people can't, or whatever.
And the trafficking of guns in the community, the violence that we see as a result of those guns being in the wrong hands cannot be minimized. And for these reasons, as I said, I don't believe that the minimum mandatory sentences are appropriate here. Therefore, the court is going to sentence you to 15 to 30 years on each of the armed career criminal charges consecutive to each other. On the theft case,
15 to 30 years on both charges. However, they're consecutively, so they are not going to amount to 30 to 60 years. They're going to go at the same time and be 15 to 30 years.
Cases, what I'm going to do on those is you'll get a 7.5 to 15-year stand committed sentence. 5 years of each of those sentences will be suspended, conditioned on your good behavior and compliance with the terms and conditions of the sentencing order. And I will tell you that I am doing that because, given your history, I want something to incentivize you to be of good conduct while you are at the prison. And if you are not of good conduct,
so she's trying to give him a reason to behave. He got off well, 15 to 30 on both, but they don't run together. And most of the other sentences are suspended. Me too, Sarah. I've been there and done that too. And you know what? I didn't choose the right path for a long, long time until I did. My parents sent me off to rehab twice. Still didn't work. I still went back to it. It wasn't until I was ready. And now I refuse to live that way. I would never go back to that life. But, I had to choose to get better. So, yeah, we are all responsible. I agree. Oh, thank you, Alyssa. That's so sweet. It's the second hunger. You can choose to starve yourself, but it's hard. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Consecutive would be back to back, yeah. And then concurrently means they run together. Do we know when the trial will be? Yes, Leo. I think it's October. It's this fall.
Where you commit other crimes while you are incarcerated, the state can move to impose that suspended portion of your sentences. So on each of the theft charges, they'll be concurrent with each other, but they will be consecutive to the armed career criminal charges. We will have a restitution.
So those are also, those two charges will run together, but they will not run together with the other two that are running together. So you basically have two sets of two armed career criminal charges that are running concurrently and two other charges that are running concurrently, and they are running consecutively to each other. So
hearing, I'll allow the state 90 days to file a pleading with regard to restitution. If no pleading is filed, no restitution will be ordered. So I'm going to read you the sentences now. Please listen carefully. On charge ID 2008743C, you are sentenced to the New Hampshire State Prison for not more than 30 years nor less than 15 years. There is added to the minimum sentence a disciplinary period equal to 150 days for each year of your minimum sentence to be prorated for any part of the year. This sentence is to be served as follows. Stand committed, commencing today. The court recommends the Department of Corrections that you be screened and or assessed for drug and alcohol treatment needs. The state will be granted 90 days to submit a pleading regarding their request for restitution. If they do so, a restitution hearing will be scheduled upon further filing or objection by your counsel. Additionally, you're to meaningfully participate in and complete any counseling, treatment, or educational programs as directed by the correctional authority or probation parole. You are ordered to have no contact with Christopher or Kimberly Frayne. That no contact is either directly or indirectly, including but not limited to contact in person.
So yes, around, actually not 20. So there's 7.5, there's two of those, but they run together. So basically, let's just say 5 years are suspended. So 17.5 years, 17.5 to 30 years, I think. No, 17.5 to 37, maybe. I might be wrong. That's kind of what in my head. Crime Curious says late November. Okay. Responsibility of your child doesn't just go away because you have addiction. I have sympathy and experience with addiction, but once it's affecting the safety of other people, especially your child's sympathy gone. I agree with you. At a certain point, you decide, whose life you're going to put first and who you're going to put first, your kids or yourself. Most parents choose their kids. When parents are in addiction, though, sometimes they will choose themselves, and that's unfortunate. Hey, Leonard Amber, good to see you. Oh, thank you, Alyssa. You're so sweet. You guys thank all you guys. I appreciate it so much. Your child or children must come first. Absolutely. Turn that off. My dad's going to come through here. Okay.
Sent by mail, phone, email, text message, social networking sites, or through third persons. No contact at all, Mr. Montgomery. That would be cause to impose the suspended portion of your sentence. Law enforcement will be directed that they could destroy or return evidence to its rightful owner in the case. You are ordered to be of good behavior and comply with all the terms of your sentence. Additionally, on charge ID 2008742C, you are sentenced to New Hampshire State Prison for not more than 30 years nor 15 years. There is added to the minimum sentence a disciplinary period equal to 150 days for each year of your minimum sentence to be prorated for any part of the year. That sentence is to be served stand committed, consecutive to charge ID 2008743C. The court recommends to the Department of Corrections that you be screened or assessed for drug and alcohol treatment needs. Additionally, you are required to meaningfully participate in and complete any counseling, treatment, or education programs as directed by the correctional authority or probation parole. You have the same no contact order on this charge as well. Law enforcement may destroy or return evidence to its rightful owner in this case, and you are ordered to be of good behavior and comply with all the terms of the sentence. On
Todd,
charge ID
you better rewind and hear what he said. Say the state.
1964099C. You are sentenced to New Hampshire State Prison for not more than 15 years nor less than 7.5 years. You have the 150-day disciplinary period to be prorated for any part of the year. Stand committed. 5 years of the minimum and none of the maximum is suspended. The suspensions are conditioned upon your good behavior and compliance with all the terms and conditions of the sentencing order. The suspended sentence.
So it was 7.5 to 15
Will begin today and end
on the other
15
two.
years after your release from this charge. So this charge is consecutive to the armed career criminal charges, but concurrent with the other theft charge. All of the other conditions that I reviewed with you earlier with regard to the destruction or return of evidence, the requirement of good behavior, and that you be screened for drug and alcohol treatment needs are also included on this sentence. On charge ID 1964098C, you are sentenced to the identical sentence that I just reviewed with you, which is, and these two sentences are concurrent. It's the not more than 15 years or less than 7.5 years at the New Hampshire State Prison with the 150-day disciplinary period, and includes the 5 years of the minimum sentence, and none of the maximum sentence are suspended. The suspensions are conditioned on your good behavior and compliance with all the terms and conditions of the sentencing order. That suspended sentence will begin today and end from 15 years from your release on charge ID 1964098C.
I agree.
All of the
Dad.
other
I think
terms
you
and
did
conditions
too.
that I reviewed with you on the other theft charge are also
That's
imposed
awesome, Jen.
on
I'm
this
proud
charge.
of you.
Do you have any questions about that? All right. Yes.
I thought I heard it, but I'm not positive. Pre-trial credit on the first charge.
Pretrial confinement credit of 580 days on the first charge. In light of your current financial condition and that you have a lengthy prison sentence that you'll be serving, the court will find that you do not have an ability to pay your attorney's fees. You won't have counsel fees. In this case, if you have prior counsel fees, those still stand. I'm going to ask you now to just be seated. I need to find a clerk so that you can be read your rights to sentence review.
Mom.
Okay, please be seated. You may remain seated.
Is he crying? Wonder what he's thinking right there. You just hear that you're in prison for at least the next 22 years because you got a minimum 15 and a minimum, well, 7.5, but no, I guess it could be 2.5 for at least 17 years. Could be in there for a long time. And this is just the beginning, baby. Hey, Jay Kismet. So, Adam Montgomery had a daughter named Harmony, who he was not in her life or anything. Harmony was in the system, and Adam was able to get custody of her, him and his wife, Kayla. Adam was physically abusive to Harmony, as well as, emotionally abusive and just negligent, making her live in a car. They were on drugs really bad. And Harmony was missing for a good year and a half before it was even on the news. I mean, several months before the police were even looking into it. Maybe a year. It was a long time. His wife told many different stories, but eventually told that Adam punched Harmony over and over until she was no longer living. And then he carried her body around with them from place to place, to her mom's house, Kayla's mom's house, to a shelter they were living in, to down, even in this little bag, Kayla carried Harmony's body between the two boys, their other two kids, on a stroller, where it finally went into the freezer at his work, Portland Pie Company. And then he got a U-Haul and got rid of her remains. And so this trial that he was just sentenced for was for weapons. He was in trouble for a bunch of stolen guns and stuff. And his upcoming trial for the death of Harmony is in November. So definitely a selfish person. He looks so different. Yes. Abe, I don't feel sorry for him. I don't give a shit. He was living in a car, addicted and unemployed because of his own bad choices. I get what you're saying. I have sympathy for addicts too. I was hooked on heroin and benzos, some of the hardest drugs to get off, had seizures coming off of them. But I don't care. At the end of the day, your kids come first. And if you can't put them first, you don't deserve to have kids. They need to be with someone who will put them first. You know what I mean? So I get your point, but I'm just letting you know that even if he was desperate, living in a car, addicted and unemployed, that was his fault. He shouldn't have been dragging the kids along for that. I just have no sympathy for him. I can't. And I come from a place of going through many of these things that they were going through. She probably did get SSI. She was blind in one eye. You're correct. And they also got the EBT and stuff. So, no, he shouldn't. His circumstances create murders. It's a theme. We can stop this if we make an effort. These are preventable deaths. It's worth looking at substance use. I don't disagree with you. I think that you're right. Certain circumstances that create murders, like domestic violence or, things like that, yeah, we should be looking at them and talking about them preventatively, but it still doesn't take away his responsibility in it. But I think that you're right. Me too, Corey. I agree. Hey, my honest opinion, he only wanted custody for the benefits she was worth. I agree, Law Nerd Amber. There's no other reason. Why was he not in her life at all up until then? She barely knew him. When he was meeting with her to get custody was like her meeting him for the first time. It wasn't reunification. It was just unification. Y'all, he makes me crazy. All right, I gotta go in a second. I'm gonna let this play out for the last minute. I hope you guys will come back at 8:15 to talk about Chad Doberman. He also gets me pissed off and riled up. So sorry about that. But I just want to watch his behavior at the end of this before we go. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it so much. I missed you the last couple of days. If you didn't see, I posted a video of a dolphin that jumped out of the water like 10 feet in front of me. But I'm going to go through my footage because we saw there's probably 30 of them together. And they were it was very cool. I'm going to find more clips and I'll show you guys. But it's been a busy couple of days out on the water. Oh, I love you, cutie pie. Love you, Nay. Love all you guys. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you so much. Abe, not in his case, honey. He didn't give up his custody. Or he didn't know her when he chose to.
Adam Montgomery, you are hereby notified you have the right to apply for review of the state prison sentence imposed on you today. The application may be filed within 30 days after the date of the sentence, but not thereafter except for good cause.
It was so cool. Coolest thing I've seen in a long time. Hey, Inspector Gadget.
Who will be either judicial referees and or Superior Court judges. Review of the sentence may result in a decrease or increase of the minimum or maximum term within the limits fixed by law, or there may be no change in the sentence. And a form for making application, if you wish to do so, is set forth on this form. The state also has the right to apply for sentence review. Form to do so if it
Sorry, I meant to mute while I coughed, but I didn't. Sorry.
This form.
Todd, I actually live in the Outer Banks, but not even on the ocean. I live on the Sound, and it's a freshwater sound that's connected to the ocean. It's like brackish water. It's salt water and fresh water. It's a mix, but it tends to lean more fresh water. So I don't know what's gotten into these dolphins, but this summer they've been up here a lot. Usually we don't see them, but yeah. My right ear, accept your apology. I'm sorry. Had to cough and clear my throat a little bit, but all right, you guys. So we're going to wrap it up there with Adam. I will see you guys at 8:15 with criminality. I can't wait to show you and talk about this and kind of figure out. Watching him after what he did in his body language and stuff was just so interesting. Even the look in his eyes, because I'm watching for like signs of mental illness or a break or, something like that would explain what happened. But yeah, we'll watch it together tonight. But anyways, I love you. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I really do. I hope you have a great hour or two, and then I'll see you in a little bit. And if not, I hope you have a great night, and I'll see you sometime soon. All right, you guys. I will see you soon. Have a good night. Thank you for being here. Oh, and hey, Kate, I'm glad you commented, because you guys check out these channels. I'm going to drop a couple channels of some people that were in here. Join in the conversation with us that have excellent channels. Kate and my friend Crime Curious. Wicked West also has an excellent channel. It's not in the Nightbot, though. My friend Nay, I need to add your channel still. But there's her wax melts that she sells. They're awesome. And I think that was it that was in here. But all right. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I've said that 50 times. I got to go, or I'll just keep saying bye for the next 20 damn minutes. Bye.